Good evening. This is a Life Lived series, episode 26, and I have titled this Transcend because I look back at all of the episodes that I've done and the topics, and I'm constantly trying to think of what to talk about, and I know I reiterate a lot of things, and I liked the idea or the term transcend because it actually, by a dictionary definition, is to be or go beyond the range of limits or to surpass. And so a lot of what I have talked about previously is, of course, finding who you are, blocking out all of the external noises that we hear and the thoughts that we form about ourselves because of what other people say. And the way that other people make us feel. I even have an episode on building walls and how we need to break them down. So, I look at Transcend as the part of, the overall of these episodes and these discussions, because one of the things that I constantly talk about is trying to realize not only who you are, but how you can grow and how you're going to continue to grow, and finding yourself and being able to really dig deep inside and find out who you are and not rely on what other people say. And of course, if they're negative things, we don't rely on them. But what happens is the more that we hear the same thing about ourselves, the more we begin to believe it. That only not works from external sources, but also internal. So the more that you're able to build yourself up, the more you're able to realize how important and brilliant you are, the more confident you feel in yourself. And the more that we, hear these negative things that come at us, the more we know about ourselves, the better we feel about ourselves, can really help kind of dumb some of that down. So when I look at Transcend, I hope that through listening to these episodes, that in some way, by looking inside, that you're slowly beginning to grow. And hopefully one day, my goal is that you're going to transcend who you even think you are today. And you're going to transcend everything that these negative comments that people say about you, and realize that they're of course not true. And I also picked the image for this thumbnail as being a beach with a blue ocean. And I when I think about waves in this particular instance, life is we are constantly going to be battered throughout life, just like a beach does with the ocean and the waves. But just like the waves, they always go back out, away, and of course they come back in. But it's all about building up that relationship with yourself and your feelings, and, no matter how many waves come crashing at once, you as a beach and the sand continue to remain and grow. And so I hope that there are things, well, first off, I hope that you've been able to, take at least 15 seconds a few times throughout the week to focus on something. I had asked at one point in time for it to be something physical, out, not on your body or inside, but something physical around you, or hopefully many things around you, and that along with being able to focus on yourself inside, and even something physically on you. And I hope that you continue to do that, because the more and more you recognize about yourself, the more and more you start to learn about yourself. And that also goes along with the more and more things that you see around you, and the more things that you experience, the more knowledge that you have about the world around you. And if you're someone who is in a dark place, who contemplates no longer living, hopefully you're able to see something good unique and experience something around you and within you that kind of help take you out of that spot. Not only that, it's also being able to overcome yourself from a dark place. And I know it might not seem like it now, but if you're in a place right now that you feel like there's no way out, and you're dark, and you're just really thinking about no longer carrying on, but if you can continue to carry on day by day, then oddly enough, you'll start to grow confidence in yourself, because you are able to take control of your life and yourself and your own decisions, and not let an external source or sources take that away from you. When at some point in time, you've probably heard the corny phrase that the sky is the limit. And this also applies to why I chose Transcend. While it is a corny phrase, what can be very interesting about life is that you can almost do anything you want to. Now, of course, there are certain limitations depending on maybe where you live at the moment, or what your options are at the moment. But again, life is such a large environment, and you might not be able to see past what you can see right now, but it's truly amazing the things that you can see and accomplish as you continue to live and as you continue to grow. And that's what I want you to see as well. The sky is literally the limit when, we think about things that we can do or accomplish, or maybe even things that we can't. And the reason that I bring up the corny phrase is the sky's the limit is because if you are on a daily basis thinking that life is not worth living or things aren't going to get better, they will and they can. And if by believing in such a corny phrase, it can also help you find that silver lining in your everyday life, or at least one day during the week, or maybe even one day during the month. I hope that you're able to find a silver lining to really recognize, how big your life can be. And of course, it can be very difficult by trying to envision the things that you necessarily can't see or experience or don't even know exist. But I hope that you can believe in me in realizing that there are so many things that you can see and experience that you have no idea about. And I also want you to be able to even take days off from yourself. Now, a lot of people do this by taking vacations and or even just taking, if you happen to be athletic, some people who go running find that euphoric, or taking a walk through the woods or whatever it might be. But I hope, and if you don't, I hope you begin to take time away from yourself and the world around you. Now, of course, I always talk about finding who you are, but it's also very important to experience life outside of yourself. And, that can be done with just the simplest and smallest of things. Again, taking a walk and listening to music as you're walking, or, just driving maybe somewhere that you've never driven. One of the things that I used to do is I drove around a lot. Again, because I, at the time, really didn't have a lot of friends, and my home life at the time was, in some cases, extremely unbearable. And I'm fortunate enough to live in a state where I can drive pretty much 2 hours in either direction and be in the mountains or be at the beach. So for me, it was very relaxing to be able to not only just get up and drive, but also be able to experience and see things that I hadn't seen before. And so I used to, drive to the beach, and then I would find different ways to drive to the beach. And in some cases, I would just, get in my car and start driving around, and then to see things and neighborhoods and parks and whatever it was that I had never recognized and seen before. And it slowly made me realize that the world that I live in and the things that I see immediately around me are the things that are the biggest parts of my life. And so being able to go out and do these things kind of, for me, that was something that was very helpful, because it kind of let me relax and it let me escape and it let me, again, experience different things that I didn't realize were around. And what's interesting is, as you get older and as days, months, and years go by, you're able to look back and think about those certain instances. And I know you might be thinking, well, just driving around, it's not something that I'm probably going to reflect on, but oddly enough, it might be. And, you never know. You might end up working on this route that you've never taken but decided to take one day, and it's something that you recognize, or you might end up living in a place that you end up driving to or driving around. So it's kind of unique how the world can be so big but feel so small, and yet be able to experience so many things. And so, when we talk about, or when I talk about transcending, it's about kind of not only growing internally, but also experiencing the things around you, and even surprising yourself and experiencing the things around you. And when I say the sky's the limit, I mean, again, it's being able to experience as much as you can is extremely important. Because if we don't experience new things, we think that the world that we live in is always going to be the world that we live in, and it's always going to be the ridicule that we experience on a daily basis, and it's not. And so, just as another example from my life, I used to travel a lot, and when I was in, middle school and high school and experiencing the things that I did and all the negativity and, all the times that I thought about taking my life, I'm so glad that I didn't, because I was able to, again, not see at the time where life was going to lead me, but I was able to end up in a position where I got to travel around a lot and I got to see a lot and experience a lot. And it's, again, the whole reason that I do this is because I want you, hopefully, to find a single shred of hope to be able to continue to grow and to live and to hopefully find positive things in life, because it is truly amazing when you get to be, as years continue to go by and you start looking back on what you've gone through, what you've experienced, and then on top of what you're able to now experience in life and the new things that you get to see in life, it is truly amazing. And I think I've mentioned when I talk about the way life is going to take you, I mean literally life. I'm not referring to religion or spiritualism. I'm literally referring to how life is going to lead you. And of course, not always is it going to be great. Because if it was, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the nuggets in life that we get to experience. And so, sadly, with great things always comes bad things. And it's all about the experience in the end that we're able to look at and reflect on in life. And so, that's what I hope for everyone. And I know everyone's different, and everyone has their own opinions, and everyone's got their own, their own outlook on life. But I can only talk through what I've been through and what I've seen others go through who are close to me. And it's just, again, if you end life now, you won't know what you've missed. And you won't be able to appreciate the uniqueness of what you get to see. And I know that there are days and times and hours or weeks, that we go through and things don't seem to get better. But at some point in time they will. everything, as I feel like I've mentioned many times, is cyclical. So, it can, just like the waves of the ocean, there are things that come and go. And it's just all about trying to live in that ebb and flow of life and be able to experience and appreciate the things that we get to see and the things that we get to be a part of and the lives that we get to be a part of. Because I'm trying to find the right way to put this. But not only is life amazing when you get to experience things yourself directly, but life is also amazing when you get to see others experience it. And so, it might seem odd to think that, you can find happiness in seeing other people happy, even if you didn't have a direct relation to that, or even if you did. But it does. It's almost like if you've ever, watched a TV show that was funny, and, if you were the only person watching it, yet it was a comedy, you might not laugh as hard as you would if you were with other people who were laughing, because things like that can be contagious, and life is like that. Experiences in life are like that, because the more that you get to experience, the more people you get to meet. And then, you get to find these other people who experience and appreciate the things that you do, and then you end up experiencing new things with each other, and then it becomes this, roaring laugh of an experience within your life than just being laughing solo. The other, as a complete side note, kind of, the reason that comedy sitcoms use live audiences and laugh tracks are not to, of course, cue when you're supposed to laugh, but they also make it easier for you to laugh. And life is like that. Being able to find these things that you get to experience yourself and then with other people, or even get to share with other people, or get to see other people share or experience. It's just, it can be quite amazing. And that's all I want for you. It's as I've said many times, it really saddens me to think that there are those of you who think that things aren't going to get better and things can't get better, and it might be something that you've been enduring for years and years and years, and you just think that there's no possible way that this can get better. But it can. And I hope by listening to these podcasts that they in some way, again, can help you find out who you are and be able to experience these things that maybe, or at least do things that you wouldn't have normally done, such as recognizing the shape of your fingernail and appreciating it, or how great you are doing something, or learning to do something in that experience and doing it and accomplishing it. I know I talk about how great life is, and it most certainly has its moments, but there are, of course, as you experience, things that are hard and things that are difficult, but it's really about growing from those things and coming from them. And if you're already a person who is growing from inside, that just becomes another part of you that helps you grow, instead of it being a weight on your shoulders to hold you down. And so I hope that you continue to look at yourself and the world around you. But I also hope that you start to take vacations for yourself. Again, it's not literally a vacation unless you want it to be. But it's about at least taking some time away from where you are and just letting everything go, and then just kind of relaxing. I know people talk about meditation and that being a really great thing, and if that's something that works for you, that's good too. But I think when we go through so many things on a daily basis and we try to block out all of the negativity, we constantly feel like we're working. And by always feeling like we're working and then, trying to just learn who we are, it gets exhausting. And then, it can be very easy to get burnt out. And then you find yourself back where you were, if not darker and deeper. So, I want you to realize the importance of just taking time away and just experiencing something new. Again, if it's driving, I can't tell you how many tens of thousands of miles I've put on cars from driving. But that, again, was just something that worked for me. And it's not about escaping, and it's not about trying to find something that is necessarily your go-to to kind of, escape and not deal with things. But I hope that that's kind of a part of it, right? Because we all need time away from what we're going through. And so by taking a vacation, it should be something that is somewhat short-lived and it not become something that is a crutch. But I want it to be something important. And so I hope that this helps. And I typically do a 35 to 45 minute episode, and tonight I'll cut this short. But I appreciate you listening. I truly hope that you do realize how important you are and being able to transcend where you are today. And I hope that you take the time to take a break from yourself and everything around you. And I hope that you learn to be happy, or at least, continue to take 15 seconds, at least a few days out of the week, to focus on something new. And whether it be around you or whether it be on or in you, I hope you do. So I appreciate you listening, and please, if you ever need to talk or email, or you've got a topic or something that you want to ask about, please feel free to email at lifeliveseries@gmail.com. Thank you and take care.